Hello there. Thank you for joining us. We are going to be doing a little bit of a chat about some of the songwriting and production choices we made when writing and producing our latest single, Oh America.
So this song started from an idea you had, right? Or you built the first kind of groove?
Yeah. Sent over a drum loop to Steve, and he came back with what is now the riff in the middle section, actually, of this tune. And it was a musical idea that we sat on for quite a while and didn't end up getting around to writing until a couple of summers ago in the end. It would actually be quite nice to hear the musical parts that made up that original.
Because, I mean, it's worth noting at this point, like these drums, the electronic drums are pretty much what was there from that first demo you had.
Yeah, because I held a gun to your head and said, "Don't change them."
I think I held a gun to your head actually and said, "Don't change them. They're really good."
So yeah, this was like a nice way of still collaborating whilst we weren't allowed to actually be in the same room together. We decided, let's write over the internet. So yeah, gave ourselves these little exercises of 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off, and put together these drums for Steve to play over. Usually there'd be a direct reference, but I actually can't remember directly referencing anything. Steve said the other day, it was definitely Higher Love, wasn't it? Like when he was listening to to the drum part.
I suppose it's worth noting that actually I don't think these drums in this section are the original program beat. So we'll listen to the guitar with the drums that are there from the final mix, and then we'll go to the original beat that I think is then most of the song.
That's the drop moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which was what we thought was going to make up the entirety of the tune, really.
But I think it was this was the beat.
Yeah, and it is also worth mentioning that you did have a very similar beat on one of our earlier tunes as a band.
Wow.
So maybe subconsciously you were my reference.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, all internal. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, so we sort of spliced together these parts over the internet, and then eventually came back round to putting a song over the top of it, and it kind of stemmed from a conversation I overheard one of my family members having about how he had this like record-breaking trip booked to row to America, and he'd placed quite a lot of emphasis on how it was going to be something that he would be remembered by, and it's I think it can be quite easy to pin a lot of your self-worth on these like external, like we know what it's like as musicians, like you're often looking for those like external validation, I suppose. Like, when inside that feeling, it can be quite seductive. Like it draws you in as if it's the most important thing. And basically this rowing trip got cancelled, and it kind of shook him up a little bit, and he thought it brought up that question of legacy and like, what is it that I'm going to leave behind if not this record-breaking trip.
And I guess, against the backdrop of lockdowns and COVID-19 and our band being put on pause against our will, it's like there's kind of couldn't ever ring truer than at that moment in time.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. So bringing that message to Tom and Steve was then like, okay, so there's a piece of inspiration. How can we then make this a song that we can sing that's true to ourselves as well? And Tom at the time was particularly resonated with that feeling of like, wanting to fly the flag for your own existence and like, prove to people like why you're on this planet. So it took a bit of time to actually work out how to get both those angles into the storytelling. But I think it was a good moment where, Tom kind of said like, let's sing this from first person rather than kind of singing to someone else and say like, oh, don't worry, like, yes, you're looking for this external validation, and we understand, but you know, we love you for who you are, and that's all you need to be. Like, yes, that's a nice message, but also it felt like maybe more of a song to actually go inside and be the protagonist who is in that place, because we've all been there of like, you know, I need to prove myself. So yeah, it's fun how like songs can end up taking a perspective or an angle that you don't necessarily expect them to, and that's the beauty of sharing that songwriting process.
Leaning then into the production of the song, I feel like sonically it was the guide for where the rest of these songs kind of went, to realise what we wanted to do with it.
We've kind of blended the singer-songwriter with the big 80s thing.
Yeah.
'Cause I think it's something we've been trying to get towards for years, really. Like, you know, it's perhaps the song that exists best on an acoustic guitar, but also is the most synthetic and the most 80s sounding.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think this is one of those ones where you kind of had to put my drum narcissism aside. I think I actually, the year before, I had a go at it when we kind of didn't really know exactly what we're doing, and then I think it took me 2 more goes to figure out like actually what I was doing. It went from like playing drums pretty much the whole way through to playing drums from the second verse to just playing drums in the middle 8 to the outro. Some of the like Phil Collins references, like "Take Me Home" was a big one from No Jacket Required. That's a big reference for me for this one in terms of the way the kind of drums were to sit, and obviously some of the like the Heim stuff, and it's letting the kind of groove do its thing and just letting the atmosphere build, and it didn't have to be there from the start, and that kind of I think helped put it in that world that we wanted it to be in. Something
we also have tried to do with this latest batch of music is, I guess, it's limitations, minimizing the instruments you use and maximizing the effectiveness of the part. And I think we could have easily thrown loads of textures at that particular section as the big drop in the song. You're quite good at recognizing what's working from a demo. And I think one of the things you always mentioned was it's just lifted by the fact that the acoustic guitars open out. Again, leaning on the fact that there's a songwriter in the middle of this tune just letting their emotions out.
Yeah, it was kind of, I remember when I got the demo project from you guys, and I was kind of going through it, and I just mute the acoustic and it'd be like, oh, this sucks.
yeah, just compare with and without in this section.
Just like all relies on that energy being there,
which is nice because it's bringing back that organic, grounded core to this band, which I think we don't want to ever lose.
We spent a lot of time on this one. Just listen to the keys in chorus 2, and we'll be able to hear what they're doing. Start to hear the rises and the builds.
I think a nice way of thinking about how we approached the keys landscape of this tune, it's kind of like, it's almost like the breathing of the tune. It's all the unnoticeable stuff that if it's not there and if it doesn't move with the lyric, then you can kind of end up feeling like you're disengaging a little bit, or it falls a bit flat.
Yeah, it's sometimes like the most important stuff in the song is the stuff that you shouldn't really notice.
So that's the beginning of chorus 2, which is great because that's just fuck all. this is another great thing about producing music together, is that people coming in on like helping you out with your instrumental field can mean that you bring more character to that kind of part of the production. Whereas I probably lean a bit more towards like making sure melodies and rhythms are there and like grooves are working from start to finish of the song or whatever. I do think both Steve and Ewan have a good attention to detail when it comes to making sure the sections blend into each other kind of with the most momentum as possible, making sure they land. So for example, with that we just listened to, you were quite keen to make sure that
such a pain in the ass. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, the filtering was kind of, again, breathing with the song, moving with the emotion of the lyric. Again, learning from our mistakes of the past, perhaps, where we've just thrown loads at, because it's like, oh, there's a computer in front of us, let's throw loads at it.
Yeah.
I think what we try to do with this EP is like, get into the headspace of one instrument at a time.
Does this need to be 5 pads, or does this need to be?
Do I just need to be a better player on this?
Yeah,
on this one instrument.
Can it be 2 that you can just explore what they can do in more depth and get the same result? And I think it's worth mentioning here that we've been using this plugin called the company called Arturia, who make amazing digital recreations of vintage synths. We had a bit of a eureka moment with this, I think, when it was grounding it in where we wanted it to be. I think it's that big Juno pad in the
Juno,
chorus,
wasn't it? As soon as that was there, it was like,
okay. Cool, yeah, we know where we're at now. Yeah. We kind of went a bit more out there with the vocals.
Out there in relation to what we usually do, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, gave it a bit
of
more
effects and auto-tune and I mean, it's not necessarily very 80s, but it, makes...
Well, that's the other thing we've always been aware of, isn't it? It's like doing what our references do,
but not being a pastiche.
But not.
We are in 2023.
And I think this is where Moona have been a big influence on us.
Yeah.
The way they dress up, their very conversational lyrics. Like, we absolutely love Katie's like style of lyric writing, and then the way they dress it up with a bit of subtle auto tune, which we can hear on.
Yeah, let's just have a listen to this verse 2, I think.
Yeah.
I seen others turn back when they get this far. I don't wanna do that.
If I just mute the main vocal.
No, I'm more than a brother. No, I'm more than a friend. I'm gonna be remembered. Oh, America.
BV's in there.
I don't feel like I've achieved enough.
Yeah, what I really like about the verses is that when coming to the actual songwriting over the top of that feel that we had, it kind of felt like, playing this acoustic guitar in this driven semi-quavers, all right, semi-quavers?
Yeah, semi-quavers.
Yeah. It was like, that's when we realized, okay, that's how we can do the modern day like take on this 80s thing, and that will have then led on to the style of as we said, conversational lyrics, and then the production that followed being blends of the raw acoustic guitar and then this robotic bass underneath
drums,
it all.
Yeah. So we just have a listen to that, kind of going into that verse with everything in.
I seen others turn back when they get this far. I don't wanna do that. No, I'm more than a brother. No, I'm more than a friend. I'm gonna be remembered. And oh, America, I don't feel like I've achieved enough. And the more I think about
it, I think Tom appreciated how when we were recording it, Steve went quite direct with like, right, what song are we referencing? What are the effects on those vocals? Let's get them in, see how they sound. And then it changes how you then perhaps want to deliver the performance as well. And it just, again, same like we were saying with the finding the Juno sound on the keys, you're just building this world around you, which everything's influencing each other, and it hopefully builds for a better sort of piece of work by the end of it, because you can see this final vision. When you actually do dive in on vocal stems, we did the same thing with somebody else,
The 1975,
yeah,
right.
and you think that a lot of the sounds are like keys sounds or guitar sounds or whatever, but then
Yeah.
you just listen to the vocal stem and it's like, oh, all of that noise
Yeah,
is
something's just
coming off the
reverb
back
or
of the
delay
vocal, yeah.
or just an effect or yeah.
Which, although we do want to be a raw sounding band and something that can translate well to live, we also, it's part of the
We like that
the
world.
design of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed our little chat today. If you've got any other questions or any thoughts or anything, please leave us a comment or drop us a message. Cheers. Goodbye.